Today, Joe Biden keeps getting handed blow after blow. Is his administration collapsing in real time? We have got the analysis for that and more, and it all starts right now. Hey, welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and it's going to be a fun one today, guys. I'm joined by Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Also, Matthew Marsden, filmmaker, actor, producer extraordinaire. And before we get started, Matt, I do want you to be able to tell everyone you've got a new movie that's out available on Amazon.
I do, yes.
That's really exciting.
Yeah,
Can you tell everyone what it is and where they can find it?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I did what everyone talks about in Hollywood. They're like, you shouldn't go off and work with the studios and, do your own thing. So I was like, all right, it's what we do, right? Yeah. So I went, I wrote, I directed, I produced, I started it, I made the coffee, I did the sandwiches, I did everything.
Come on. Right? You sound, you're a slacker, man.
I know.
You didn't do did you do the audio?
I didn't do the audio.
Did you do the key grip?
I didn't do the key.
Wow, lazy, lazy.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing: if you want to see a difference in the industry, you have to support the people that are going out there to do it. So I was like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go do it. So I am that man.
There it is.
On Amazon Prime.
And it's easy, but I love that because it's like you're like, no, I am that man.
I am.
So that's a pretty easy title for me. This is really, really exciting, Matt. So yes, everyone go to Amazon. You can rent it, you can buy it, but definitely support Matt in this endeavor. And I can't wait to watch it. If my baby would just sleep, it's the first thing on my list of things to watch.
Benadryl.
I heard whiskey. But I don't know. I could share mine with him.
You just said that, no joke. I should probably not say it, but in South Africa growing up, when kids were teething and they were screaming, the grandparents would take like a finger of whiskey and just rub it on the gums.
Yeah.
And then the kids wouldn't just stop screaming, they would just fade away.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would.
Did not happen to me. Didn't do it, but it did happen. Yeah. Too many.
And for the record, I have never done that, but I've thought about it many, many times. All right, so let's get into what's going on with the Biden administration. So I see a lot of people who are like, this is the end. This is the end of the Biden administration. I'm like, no, it's not, because we still have 3 more years, right? But they have been delivered a lot of blows here in the last, just since the beginning of the year. They have the vaccine mandate, the Biden vaccine mandate that, of course, the Supreme Court ruled against yesterday. Now, we can get into, if you guys care to comment on the other decision that was made against healthcare workers having bodily autonomy. But at least with the Biden vaccine mandate on large employers, the Supreme Court did strike that down. The election laws that they are trying to ram through, to jam through, however they can. We saw the House sneak it into an unrelated NASA bill just to be able to sneak it in there. And of course, Kyrsten Sinema delivered her speech on the Senate floor and said, I actually support all of this voting rights legislation, but I don't support the manner in which you guys are going about it. I don't support the division. I am not going to go along with eliminating the filibuster to be able to get this accomplished. Let's listen to a little bit of Kyrsten Sinema.
These bills help treat the symptoms of the disease, but they do not fully address the disease itself. And while I continue to support these bills, I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division infecting our country. The debate over the Senate's 60-vote threshold shines a light on our broader challenges. There's no need for me to restate my long-standing support for the 60-vote threshold to pass legislation. And there's no need for me to restate its role protecting our country from wild reversals in federal policy. It is a view I've held during my years serving in both the U.S. House and the Senate, and it is the view I continue to hold.
Obviously, it's not just Sinema. Manchin has come out against their tricks as well, and you gotta believe that there are some other senators who are within the Democrat Party who know that they have cover with Manchin and Sinema already coming out and saying that. And so they're like, yeah, I'm not going to put, a target on my back within my own party if I don't have to. So it looks like that is also dead in the water. Biden just had new poll numbers come out. 33% approval rating. I mean, it is horrendous. This was before the SCOTUS decision came out. And I want to get your thoughts on what is happening to this administration. But I do want to just throw in, as we're talking about the Biden administration and how they are handling all of this, the Biden administration, we have White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki responding to the Supreme Court ruling, and they're still, even after all of the things that I just covered, they're still urging businesses to just go ahead and carry out this mandate anyway. Watch.
The Supreme Court's decision on the OSHA mandate essentially means that in this pandemic, it is up to individual employers to determine whether their workplaces will be safe for employees and whether their businesses will be safe for consumers. So President Biden, you'll see this in his statement, will be calling on and will continue to call on businesses to immediately join those who have already stepped up, including 1/3 of Fortune 100 companies, to institute vaccination requirements to protect their workers, customers, and communities. We have to keep working together in order to get this done to save more lives.
Were the poll numbers not a big enough indication to them that the American population is sick of their crap?
I think this is when you holistically, and this is what I love about the way you approach this stuff, Sarah, you've got to look at all of it, because then you start putting the puzzle together. Because if you look at one piece, you go, well, maybe, yes, no. But look at all of it. The numbers plummet, which means your own people who voted for you are not approving of what you're doing. SCOTUS rules against you. You're now asking America to circumvent the Supreme Court of the United States, coercing, bribing companies, going, come on, do my dirty work for me. Press this on your people because I can't, because I don't have support from the courts, right? And it's insane that it's happening, but it's actually happening at a local level as well. We saw a vote pass in the Texas Supreme Court for local district attorneys having full autonomy on deciding whether an election is legal or not, recounting election, and we know 88% of Texas DAs are liberal. 88%. So bye-bye fair election, and that's Texas. So that's what they're going to do. If the Supreme Court's not going to do it, they're going to wangle and find a way to take their mission and stay on track here. Keep pressing, and now put the onus on the business owner saying, you need to be responsible. I wouldn't even be surprised if they don't tell them, the Supreme Court has abandoned you. You need to be responsible and press this mandate on your people. And look, that's evil to the bone. I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, they've been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
right? It's just been kind of buried with other things. And now they have no cover, right? They have no cover because these things are so huge and they're affecting people on such a massive scale that when you get up to the Supreme Court, the light has been shone onto their behavior. And like you say, you're kind of peeling back this onion and seeing all the different things that are going on. And I think that when you go to the Publix or you go to Tom Thumb or whatever it is, and there's no milk on the shelves, you can't go anywhere, right? There's no way you can go and say, oh, well, it's not this, it's not that, because the American people are like, actually now they're going, this is affecting us.
It's manifesting.
We see it. And it's not just the people that they want to like say, hey, shut up, shut up. I say this all the time, like coming from California, you'd see the craziness and the rest of the country would be going, oh, that's crazy, California. I'm like, it's going to happen to you, right? They're moving the goalposts. Like you say, they're working in local government, which way we need to understand. We've got to get back and focus on local government and say, take over the local councils, because this is what they've been doing. They've been putting in the DAs. They've been working with the judges. That's why they were
for decades.
But that's why they're so angry at Trump, because Trump came in. He was like, you know what? I'm going to do federal judge. And so he kind of knocked him back a little bit. But the bottom line is this. They want to rule. And it doesn't matter. I mean, thank God for the Founding Fathers, right? Because this is the only thing. Those two senators, right? You imagine, I mean, I saw something on Twitter the other day where they were like, oh, darn, like West Virginia, getting in the way of democracy. I'm like, you do know that there are other senators apart from the Democrats, right? You do know there's another side. So it's not, this is actually a constitutional republic working. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what they saw, right? The founding fathers, they didn't want rule from one party, one majority rule.
Sarah said something, and it's really so important. Look, there's political will. Does someone have the political will to do something? But then they always, I had this conversation this morning with a politician. They go, well, here's my political will, but I got to look at my political risk. Mm-hmm. Right? And you said some on the left, like Sena, right, are de-risking the platform for some other liberal senators to go, oh, I'm not first, so I'll join now. Manchin, you're in? Good. Sena, you're in? Okay, so I'm not going to vote for to abolish a filibuster.
But don't use my name.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they're de-risking. So that's what happens when this happens. When a liberal comes up like this and speak with some common sense and said, look, we can't get away from this because that's a black hole you're opening up and you never return from. They're de-risking it, which is good. So I agree with you. I think there are more behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Don't use my name, but I'm not, when it comes time, I'm not going to vote that way, or I'll abstain from the vote or whatever. So,
Yeah. And Matt, you brought up the point of all of the judges that Trump was able to appoint. And I think even going back to the Supreme Court, it really highlights the importance of a presidential election. I mean, look, I was not a fan of, this is not a secret to anyone who's followed me for a long time. I was not a fan of Trump before he got into office. I didn't like him. I didn't think I thought that he was a closet liberal based on the rest of his history, right? And I kept hearing the argument, but the Supreme Court, we have to get this for the Supreme Court. We cannot let Hillary Clinton appoint people, nominate people for the Supreme Court. That would be a huge disaster. And now you're seeing, at least with this 6-3 decision, there were 3 justices who their dissenting opinion was quite scary if you read it. I mean, they were all in favor of, government agency like OSHA being able to dictate all of these things to you. And so it really does highlight the importance of Trump getting in there. And, Kavanaugh, don't get me started on. But at least we had the decision that we had on the Biden vaccine mandate. If Hillary Clinton had gotten elected, I mean, think of the ramifications of that.
And you're saying that, and I said it here, not to toot my own horn, but here it comes now. We just had some articles come out saying, hey, chatter inside the left is they're prepping for Hillary to run. Yeah. They have nobody else. They've got nobody else, so watch out. And it should stay at 9. Can't stack the court. You can't. These things are, our founding fathers knew what they were doing. Prayerfully considered, well thought through, and you can't abolish any of these things because the house will fall. I mean, that's moving, it's foundational issues. If you move the foundation of a structure, it's coming down. And they're chipping away at foundational issues. So.
Well, nothing says progress like Hillary Clinton. I mean, how can you even make that argument, right? I mean, okay, we're going to drag her out. Like, what did she some Stepford wife, like in a closet, and they're like wheel her out. I mean, I never thought she was going to make it in the last one, let alone this one. Yeah. And you sit there and you're like, who is thinking this? But it just shows you that we're dealing with puppet masters. We're dealing with people behind the scenes. We're not. I was watching something with Joe Biden the other day. He's so angry and weird. Like I watch him. There's something really off.
Was it when he said, "Count the votes"?
Yeah, count the votes. Yeah, he's got this kind of wide-eyed thing. He's like, and as an actor, and as a filmmaker, you really have to study people and the way they react to things.
Absolutely.
And you kind of that is really odd. And that's not a partisan thing. I mean, it's genuinely saying. There's something really off here. And if you're going back, like, why aren't they looking to a young black senator even to say, come on, let's bring you through or what? Because that's what they say, right? That's what they say. We're the party of this. You're going to trundle out an old establishment white woman that's run like 1,000 times.
But it's an old establishment white woman who they made and they own and they control. And to make someone to that level, that hierarchy, they bred them into the system. They bred Barack Obama through school into the system. So to break away from that class is risk for them. To take a true progressive young let's say a Buttigieg or whatever, that's a high risk for them because they don't quite know where is he going to go because there's so much history. And you see all the local races, Texas, they're bringing guys out that should be in retirement that are coming back. Here they come again. It's like the Mayor Grotsky, he's like coming from the dead. Now they're running for Attorney General, and here they come again. I mean, it's like, what? On both sides, though.
Yeah,
and the Republicans as well.
Well, but I also think there's a part of it that a lot of these people are very narcissistic and they're drunk on the power, right? The power and the publicity, and they just can't quit it. They don't like not being in the spotlight.
And they'll sell their soul to stay there, literally.
But it's also not that those individuals are drunk on power because, we know that.
Right.
It's the desire for power from the party rather than really having the commitment to what they really believe in, right? So they don't really believe. We know this, right? We know that the fact they're saying, no masks or mask mandates, and then they don't wear masks, and climate change, and they fly in their private jets. I mean, the hypocrisy, you can see it every single day, and it runs all the way through. Now, I think that we tend to, on the right, we tend to hold each other a little bit more accountable, but they are not the people that they say they are. They're not the party that they say they are. They're not. It goes again with African Americans. You look in every single African American city that has a Democratic mayor, a Democratic governor. Things got worse for them. I'm like, they have. It's not dramatically worse for them. So there comes a point where I do think now we are getting to a little bit of a critical mass with people saying, you guys aren't doing what you're saying you're doing. It's like, be careful what you wish for.
Well, they're seeing the fighter in round 4 staggering Biden. And they're like, he's not going to make it to round 12. There's no way. Literally, you're like waiting for the knockout punch for that whole administration to just come crumbling down. And I think that's why they go call Hillary. Somebody come.
We don't have anyone else. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So you guys, I know you hear me talk about Built Bar all the time, but if you have not yet actually gone to try them, you've got to do it. I just got a message from someone, I think it was on Twitter, and they sent a picture of their oh my gosh, there were probably like 8 Built Bar boxes on their kitchen counter.
Sarah.
Yeah, and they were just like, my family makes fun of me because I bought so many Built Bars, but they eat them too. So
you should send that picture to Built Bar.
I think they tagged them in it.
This has got to be the #1 show promoting Built Bar.
Look, it's because I'm very passionate about the Built Bar.
But it has to be.
I
hope Built Bar's listening. Sarah is your #1
I just
advocate.
love them. I eat them all the time. As everyone knows, I am the Built Bar dealer in the building. So Built Bar, if you have not yet heard, it is a protein bar, so it's healthy for you. It's got the high protein. It's going to keep you full and satisfied, but they're like 180 calories or less. There's 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 net carbs, and they taste like you're eating a candy bar. Most of them are covered in 100% chocolate. So if you love chocolate, you got a sweet tooth, but you don't want to expand your waistline, you got to go to Built.com. You can use promo code NEWS15. You'll save 15% off of your order. That is NEWS15 over at Built.com. YouTube has strict community guidelines over what we can and cannot say about COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. If YouTube deems we've somehow violated these guidelines, we risk YouTube cutting off our ability to communicate to you. With that said, the discussions which follow are not meant to provide medical advice. Please seek the advice of local health officials for any COVID-19 and or COVID vaccine related questions and concerns. All right, so before we move on, and I do want to get to Bernie Sanders saying Congress must demand the mass production and distribution of N95 masks. By the way, at the same time that literally everyone else is like, yeah, we think it's becoming endemic. This is not really a big deal anymore. But crazy Bernie over there is like, we must demand the mass production and distribution of these things. But I want to get, gentlemen, your thoughts on the other ruling that came down. I know we mostly discussed just in this first segment the Biden vaccine mandate, but there was the other case that was handed down that Kavanaugh and Roberts, I say Roberts sided with the liberals. I don't think I feel like that's just repeating myself at this point. Roberts is a liberal, I think,
Roberts,
at this point.
the liberal,
sided with his own people. But Kavanaugh sided with them as well, that healthcare workers in hospital settings they can be mandated to get this vaccine because if they have any federal dollars tied to it, right? So if Medicaid and Medicare are involved in these hospitals, the federal government can compel these people to get to inject something in their bodies. And I think even with that ruling, that's a huge blow. And I know there are a lot of you out there watching this program who are in that situation, and our hearts go out to you. Certainly you are not forgotten on this program. I know there were a lot of people who were rejoicing yesterday as if the other ruling was the only one that was handed down. I think that people need to be very careful, because not only was that ruling, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, very wrong, but the reasoning that the other one, the 6-3 ruling, the reasoning that they used, I thought was very scary as well, because really they said Congress needs to make this law. You can't have OSHA be able to just do it without Congress making the law. There wasn't anything about bodily autonomy. There wasn't any sort of argument about the autonomy that is typically the argument when we talk about issues like abortion, which is not actual bodily autonomy, right? There was that argument didn't really surface. And again, like, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but it did make me very nervous, even with the conservatives, and especially with people like Kavanaugh ruling on this sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm assuming here, so you can validate whether I'm understanding you correctly. What you're saying is it makes you nervous because they're putting it on government still,
Yes.
on Congress.
Yes.
And even if it's the right, it's bigger government.
Right.
And we don't want that. We
Right.
want the individual right for bodily autonomy. And yes, that is concerning, although sometimes they pick the path of least resistance to get it across the finish line. But in the process, you always set precedent.
Yeah.
You always have to consider in politics, does it set a precedent that contradicts who we are as a party, who we are as a free people? Even if I win the battle, I can't lose the war in the process. And so this is where I'd rather say, no, call it what it is. We need bodily autonomy. Run on that. Beat that door down, because some of those wolves in sheep's clothing with an R behind their name, like they pick it up, go, oh, wink, wink, we're moving.
Right.
We're moving.
Right.
Okay, you got this 6-3 ruling, but we're moving towards government. You know,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. It is concerning.
Yeah, because it seemed like, if you read the opinion, it seemed like they were saying, well, I mean, OSHA could mandate something like this if it was unique to a workplace situation,
Yes.
but because it's not unique to a workplace situation, they can't. And I'm like, whoa, we just crossed over. We just kind of jumped over a lot of other issues I feel probably should be talked about. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, the key to this is not saying something about a ruling that the Supreme Court got to. For me, it's all about what can we do as private individuals when when the ball starts rolling, right? So right the way back when all this began, and we saw these odd numbers, right? If you die with COVID, die of COVID, because people think that these things don't matter, but they do, because they're presented as evidence in a court case.
Right.
Yes.
Right? And this is really important. So when people go, oh, that doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Your involvement matters, because if you don't put pressure on your politicians locally, again, to find out actually what on earth is going on, who is recording this data, who's pushing this stuff, why is it that hospitals are getting so much money if they record COVID cases? Because we've clearly seen that certain Supreme Justices don't understand what is going on out there in the world with COVID, right? I mean, that kind of came up this week, right? So they don't understand, and that is completely, it's terrifying to me, because they have a stance that is clearly wrong. And but if you think, for example, look, if we thought, and I say this all the time, right? If there is a deadly pandemic, we're all rushing to get the vaccines.
Right. Yes, 100%.
I'm getting my kids there before me.
The natural human instinct would do that.
Survival.
Unless the natural human instinct from day one says, no, not so much. You're completely discarding the natural, human immune system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? It just didn't add up from day one.
Yeah, and we're logical individuals, right? So we look at this, we're like, hang on a second. People aren't actually keeling over in the streets and dying like they showed in China.
Yes.
right?
Many people forget that those videos came out.
Why isn't anyone going?
But we know
What were
Hollywood.
those
We know
about?
how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like,
You can lead the witness.
So I want to, before we have to go to break, I do want to get to this Bernie Sanders story. So he is proposing, this is an act called Masks for All, the Masks for All Act. And he wants the United States to manufacture and send N95 masks to all Americans. It's co-sponsored by Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, and Chuck Schumer. And they want $5 billion towards sending 3 N95 respirator masks to every American. By the way, Bernie Sanders says, as we face the rapidly spreading Omicron variant, we should remember that not all face masks are created equal. Oh. Really? So you're telling me now, remember, this slow rollback of all the things that they said that people got deplatformed for saying, like those cloth masks that you put, the face diapers that you put on your face don't work. You could get deplatformed for saying something like that. And now all of a sudden we have the CDC coming out and saying it. We have Bernie Sanders coming out and saying it. It's interesting how things change.
Yeah, but they've already had the needle in people's arm.
Yeah.
They've already won such a big battle. I don't know if we're going to get to the story later about Joe Biden on the mask. If we are, I'll hold a comment. Are we,
I don't, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to say, Prestige Ameritech, okay? #1 N95 mask manufacturer in the United States, Fort Worth, Texas. Millions of masks in their warehouse that the federal government will not buy, hospitals will not buy, but Joe Biden is pushing to give a contract to a Chinese manufacturer. We're talking about 26 miles from where we're sitting.
Wow.
Millions of masks, okay, in the warehouse that the federal government will not buy, hospitals will not buy, but Biden is campaigning with crazy man Sanders, those eyes you see there, to give a contract to China. Follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was sitting there when you're saying, Bernie's saying this. I was like, what's the number?
That's right.
What's the number? How much more are we going to slap on that, platinum American credit card? Our kids' futures, right? And we know it. Like you said, it's so
Fire
frustrating.
up the press. Print some money.
Well, the fact of the matter is we have nobody holding these people accountable.
Right.
And it comes down to the deadliest sin, which is pride, because they will not admit that they're wrong. And this is going back to what we were saying before as well. They'll try a legal route to get something done, right? And then when they go, then they'll go, I'm going to do it anyway, right? And they've said it. Biden actually said he's going to do it anyway. He's going to find a way around. They've been doing this for years and years and years on things that people went, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I say to people, since I've moved to Texas, right, I've been saying it to Texans because they go, it's never going to happen. I'm like, as we were saying, this is the crown jewel,
it's
right?
there, baby.
They are coming here. Facebook, as you said, is coming here. There's a reason why they're coming here. Don't think this is for the benefit of all those Palo Alto, like Californians that want to move to Austin. They don't.
Yeah, don't get complacent.
It's the Electoral College in Texas, and the only reason Facebook's moving to Texas is because that allows them by law to put money behind a liberal in the state, governor's race.
Yeah, I hate to cut this conversation short. It's a good one, but we got to take a break. And first, thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So, obviously, you know why you have homeowners insurance, right? You could be prone to a fire, a flood, burglary, and it could just destroy you financially. But you may not be considering another thing that you really need to be prepared for, and that's home title fraud. It is not covered by your homeowner's insurance policy, but the FBI calls title fraud one of the fastest growing crimes. It can completely devastate you financially. That is why you need Home Title Lock, all right? Title fraud happens when a criminal forges their signature. They write it as if it is your signature on documents stating you sold your home to them, and then they can take out loans against your home and leave you with all of the payments. This is your retirement nest egg. Oftentimes, this is where you are building all of this equity, and it could be gone like that in an instant. Don't let that happen to you, okay? You can go to Home Title Lock. They're going to put a barrier around your home's title, and anytime they see anyone tampering with it, they will work to shut it down. You got to go to HometitleLock.com, register your address to see if you are already a victim. Don't wait until it's too late, you guys. Just register your address over there. You can enter code RADIO for a 60-day money-back guarantee. That is code RADIO over at HometitleLock.com. A moment during a Dallas City Hall open mic session left a lot of people wondering after they watched it, is this real? Is this fake? We are living in the Babylon Bee, so we never can tell. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen it yet, but you know what? Let me just, instead of describing it, I think I just need to play it for you. Watch.
Vaccinate. You gonna get corona from Mona. Don't vaccinate. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. You gotta vaccinate in the Lone Star State. Vaccination is so great. Vaccinate me all day long. Vaccinate your daddy and mom. Vaccinate my body. Vaccinate me at the party. A vaccine dream. I love the vaccine all day long. I want to vaccinate your mom. I wanna stick it deep in your arm. Oh my, where are you? I wanna vaccinate you. But you can't hear my song. Vaccinate me in my thong. Vaccination, right or wrong. Dr. Fauci, give me that ouchie. I want it in my body. Vaccinate me to go to the party. Omar is back. Vaccinate me, white or black. Vaccinate you. Vaccinate who? Vaccinate you all day long.
So I myself was like, what the hell? And is this guy real? And I'm going to admit this, actually. I went on Instagram and I actually reacted to it and posted it. And I had a couple people tag the gentleman who actually, this is him in real life. We have Alex Stein, host of Conspiracy Castle, which everyone can find on YouTube. And it answered my question, is this real life? You're actually, this
Sarah,
was
this
a
is
joke.
me, Primetime 99, Alex Stein, it's a joke, but this is where we're at in society, is that there are so many TikTok nurses doing ICU dances, you know, that when you see this, and then you see in the White House, Joe Biden has a bunch of people in scrubs singing songs, a cappella, then it's totally believable. So you shouldn't beat yourself up. I mean, that's the whole point of the satire. And my whole idea is, you know, I want to be like Andy Kaufman. So you got to go there and you have to commit to the bit. Yeah. And so I think it's the commitment is that what sold it. And because the world is so absurd, my actions are like, oh, somebody would do that, you know?
Right.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, they really would.
Yeah. And they would, and they have.
Yeah. They have. That's the thing is they've already
We've got
seen
guys
this.
singing songs and their exit from Congress.
Yeah,
and from
Francis Collins.
Francis Collins, which is, they would do that.
I mean, Francis Collins, the NIH, the director, the top guy is playing little songs on his guitar like that. What it is it's mocking us. That's mockery because they know what the deal is. I mean, he knows that basically they're using this to subvert, you know, this is medical tyranny what's going on now. I mean, you know, they're using this. They created, in my mind, you know, they created the virus for the vaccine. They didn't create the vaccine for the virus. Yeah. So what they're doing, the NIH, Dr. Fauci, these guys are puppets, they're talking heads, and they're meant to make us mad. You know, that's why they're always strumming the guitar, and Dr. Fauci's always throwing the first pitch, and it's like, it's because it's supposed to irk us, you know, on the right or the more conservative. We're like, F that guy. And then it's supposed to make the people on the left that are defending him look even more like a clown. Yeah. So it's total mockery from the people in power, and that's what they like to do. They like to mock us.
Yeah. How did you not cry?
Yeah, you can't. You
I'm not even hearing it, and I'm still laughing.
That's a commitment, but I'm saying, guys, we're all at COVID fatigue right now. I mean, literally, like you watch this and you're like, I'm almost.
What I want to know is what was the reaction in the room looking at you?
You see, that's the thing.
That's what we don't see.
You're my hero.
Yeah.
No,
we love you.
Okay, so I go in there and I've trolled them about a bunch of stuff. You know, I've talked about. You know,
you have.
One of my most famous ones before this that got millions of views. Ben Shapiro, you know, tweeted it. But I went in there and I said, I wish we would legalize abortion because now I'm getting all these girls pregnant and I need an abortion. You know, jokingly, sarcastically, and it was so dark that it went viral. People were like, why would a guy be pro-abortion like this? You know, and so they know me. Is what I'm saying. They know exactly who I am. When
They knew before you walked in.
Oh, I walk in there and they're just looking. I mean, they look at me, but you can just tell the energy. Like when you walk in, you guys are welcoming me because I'm a guest, but like I'm like the enemy when I walk in that room. I'm not a guest. So you know, we're all vibrational beings. You can be at a high vibrational level, low vibrational. So you can just tell they're in this low vibrational. It's called NPCs, non-playable characters. They can't interact with it. I can act like a goofball like that, and they can't come down to my level and be like, oh, that was cool or that was funny. They literally have to be like stoic and act like that it's not even happening almost.
So do they have to let you speak?
Yes, you
We
got
got the
3
mic
minutes.
for 3 minutes.
Well, but I didn't know like if there were enough people who signed up or something, if they could then look at the list and
They
kick
can make it
people
2
off.
minutes. They
Yeah.
can make it 2 minutes, or they can make it 1 on the mayor's. Because listen, this is another story. So one time I went there. You have to go once every 30 days, and I went there after 29 days. And the mayor can let you speak. You know, he can be like, "Oh yeah, he can speak," and I'll just wait another one. But the mayor's like, "No," and I was like, "Come on, I'm here one day," and they had cops escort me out. I mean, and so you know, it's just you're allowed to have your 3 minutes, and what they say is you're not supposed to be boisterous, but you can be boisterous. I mean, that's really the term they use. So there's kind of a loose definition. Was I boisterous? Yes, but I mean, as long as you don't go there and I think cuss or be really profane.
Yeah.
Because there's been people that sued that were, you have your whatever constitutional right to speak at those local meetings. So there's people that have been sued, and so
Right.
they have to let you
be
speak.
careful. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Matt, if you're looking for an actor,
I'm going with
ever.
Elijah. This Wednesday, Elijah Schaefer. I'm signing up him. I can't go, so I signed him up. Yes, on Wednesday.
No.
Yes, and I'm going to film it. Yes, so he's going to go there on Wednesday
for a meeting.
Well, he's going to the city hall meeting.
What's Elijah doing?
Well, he hadn't even told me his bit yet. I mean,
But he's working on a bit.
He's working on a bit. We're
my
going to do a bit.
God.
Yeah, because I've been texting him. I don't know what his bit is, and then he's like, "Hey, come up with ideas." And I shot him an idea. He's like, "Oh, I got an idea," and he didn't tell me what it was yet. So we're just waiting to see it, and I'll be there filming. And you film it from their feed, because this is why it's good. At a big city like Dallas, all these other cities, even though it doesn't matter, it plays on their local live feed.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
it does go somewhere.
Yes.
So when people see it, it has their filter over it, has their logo. So people are like, "Oh, this is official. This looks cool." So listen, in this world of micro niche influencers, we should be going and doing this. Speaking at these things. Yeah, they're like I said, they're NPCs. They're not even really going to do anything. But the fact that so many people have seen this and sent me messages like, "I wish I was unvaccinated after seeing this," that makes me feel good. Or I mean, it's just like we can only break break people out of the matrices through humor, because we're all.
I think it's a lost art at the moment. Satire is so misunderstood today. I mean, and that's why I think Chappelle did so well when he finally just went out and go, "I'm just going to do my show, man."
Yeah.
And if you're offended, this is comedy. This is what we do. We got to restore the equilibrium a little bit. And it's good to see satire again, because it is a beautiful art form that's completely lost, like civil discourse, which is also completely gone, right? And so it's interesting.
It goes across the board. Like, you cannot bend the knee in anything, because the moment you do it, they're going to crush you. It doesn't matter what you say about it. It doesn't matter. And comedy is the cutting edge of that. Like, you've got to be ready to be offended, and as comedians, you've got to be ready to offend people. There's a risk to it. Listen, I hate comedy.
Well, no, look, art entertainment.
to do it, I hate it.
Yeah.
I think it's a really if anyone's ever done a stand-up class, go and take a stand-up class.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is the most difficult thing in the world, right?
Yes.
It's really
To
exposing.
be clever and speak.
Because the feedback from the audience is immediate. It's instantaneous. That's the difference between theater and film. Because it's there.
So you
It's
speak
right
of film.
there.
Let me make this point. We always make this point on my show. In 1994, the top movies: Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction. I believe the top comedy was American Pie. The top movies of 2021. I mean, Spider-Man is a good movie, but it's like Daddy's Daycare. It's all these sequels. We've lost that art, because all comedy now is about intersectionality. It's about checking in boxes. It's making sure that we have the lead.
But you can't have comedy.
You
You can't define comedy. You can't put comedy in a box. You've got to give the comedian a room to address social issues in a controversial way, and it will cross boundaries, and it will go, because Chad Prather.
Right.
You got a
Right.
Chad Prather show. I mean, all those movies you just mentioned are canceled in today's environment, right?
Yeah.
They cancel them all, but they're the ones who made it.
So I want to get back into this conversation, but let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I don't mean to cut you guys off.
Have you been to a Chad Prather comedy show? I haven't seen it.
So I want to get back to this conversation that you guys were having. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, they were in my ear. In fact, it was a man trying to mansplain to me when to take a break, which is very rude. But
we won't say who the man is.
He happens to be my husband, but
You'll have your revenge. Trust me.
Well, I'm very good at that. I want to get back to that conversation, because I mean, it is, Yaku, you mentioned our very own Chad Prather, who I mean, he could be performing in the middle of a set, and someone doesn't like what he has to say, and they get mad and they quit and walk off the job. And
that happened at the last show.
The club is left with no employee to run, what are the lights or the sound or whatever the case may be. People, it's getting very scary out there for people like you.
Well, people are just so sensitive. That's the thing, is we're oversensitive because we have this baby coddling society, where we're just trying to baby everybody. People need to toughen up. But the thing is, everybody's under this, trauma-based mind control from the news and the media. So they're on pins and needles. They're in this fight or flight state. So that's why, you can get a good representation of how we are as a society on an airplane. And now they're duct taping people to the seats. Everybody's fighting over the mask, because an airport that's the real world. You'll sleep on the floor. You'll eat chips. You'll pay $13 for a bag of chips. That's the real world. So when you go to that airport, that just gives you a more of a crystal clear picture. It's like when you see that movie They Live, when you take off the glasses and you can see all this stuff. The airport is you're taking off the glasses, you're seeing, oh, this is really the demonized society that we live in. And it's even worse than what we see at an airport. I'm just saying that's where we're at. We're all on pins and needles, and everybody's in this cortisol hormonal release state where they can't even get any jokes, any humor, and if they get sensitive at all, they get triggered. And then if you get triggered, they can't control it. So we live in a triggered society of oversensitive babies.
Do you feel like we've almost, though, reached the pendulum swinging back the other way?
Hopefully. I mean, at some point, I think it has to, because like we said earlier, the 90s, I feel like you could almost say racial jokes, or you could have social commentary as a comedian.
I mean, you couldn't almost.
I mean, you could.
You
could. I mean,
legitimately, there were many movies.
But I would like to get your opinion. Doesn't it have to swing back? I mean, I just think that's...
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, no, it does, but this is just physics. There's damage.
Yeah.
And so, because it didn't swing in the other direction naturally, it was forced in the other direction.
Right.
So when you force something, if I force this, it's going to break. So there's damage. So yes, it's going to swing back, but there's a whole lot of carnage and a lot of pieces to pick up in culture today and society today. Because if you swing it back and you bring it back to center and normal, like for instance, a big battle we fight, the sexualization of children in the classroom. Great, you bring it back to normal, but now all that group of children that's been decimated, there's carnage. So yes, it is swinging back. I believe it is. It's at that point of critical mass where it's going to come back down, right? But what normally happens is it doesn't stop at middle.
Right.
It swings past middle.
Right.
That's what happened in South Africa. Apartheid all the way over here, and it swung reverse racism the heck out of into the stratosphere, and now it's starting to come back. So the trick is, how do you bring it back and kind of control it so you can park it at center, which is sanity, which is civil discourse, and it's hard.
Well, you also have people that don't understand. We're Gen X, right? So we know what it was like before.
Yes.
I feel like it's like this post-apocalyptic world where we're like, the years before, when you could make a joke.
The new normal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're looking, and it's up to us. I noticed this. It's the same thing in like you're saying about culture, but about music as well. Yeah. More people now are going, I'm listening to the 80s. I'm listening to the 70s music, right? Yeah. Because the music right now is so bad. And it's actually so nihilistic and destructive. I used to love rap growing up. Now I don't want to listen to rap. It's
Travis Scott murders 8 people at his concert, and they love it. And listen, we can really get in the woods. I believe that was some sort of almost satanic ritual. Like, he knew people were dying there, and he still continues to perform, because the art today is not as good as it was in the 70s and 80s. The rap now today is all influenced with some sort of satanic undertones, and this is what I believe it comes out of. I want to say this. It comes out of the Bible, Genesis chapter 11, verse 9, and that's what they're doing right now. And what it was is the story of the Tower of Babel. And what Nimrod wanted to do is he wanted to build a tower to the kingdom of heaven to go kill God. And what God did, he said, I'm going to separate you guys into all tribes. You're going to speak 60 different languages. And so he wasn't able to, do his plan to kill God. But what they're doing is they're reverse engineering that plan, trying to get us under one ruler, one system, and that will be Satan to take God's
100%.
place.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
100%.
That was a lot to unpack, but we got to take a break. Just want to remind you guys, make sure it's Friday. All right, so your weekend plans need to be going over to Amazon and buying, renting, whichever you would like. I am that man, and he is that man, Matthew Marsden, who did literally every job in for the film.
I'm just
every
saying,
job.
am I going to get cancelled for saying just that? I am that man.
Well,
just
define a man.
Can I say that anymore?
Define a
Yeah,
man.
you're a man.
So yeah, please make sure go support Matt. We support you 100%, and we're
you.
very, very proud of all the work that you're doing, Matt. Also, make sure that you are, of course, following Jakob Williams, BlazeTV contributor, but new to the program, Alex Stein, which you can find at Conspiracy Castle over on YouTube. Alex, we got like 5 seconds if you want to shout out.
Alex Stein, Primetime Stein on Instagram. Guys, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Sarah, beautiful and professional.
Thank you.
I can't tell you.